call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, roll call please, Lynn.
Mr. Beer?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Rayom?
Here.
Mrs. Hett?
Here.
Mr. Krings?
Here.
Mrs. Medina?
Thank you, Maureen. We'll start out with our student reps report. Jacqueline.
So on January 10th, there's a DECA competition, and 37 students will be moving on to state career development. And then on January 16th, Macmillan will be presenting on a presentation on vaping and the health risks of vaping. And FACT will be handing out quitting kits there, and it's from 6 to 7 p.m. and there's free pizza from 5 to 6 p.m. And then on January 10th, the Wisconsin Rapids hockey team won a game from 5 to 1. And then the Lincoln High School winter show is Radium Girls, and it will be showing on January 24th, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. and January 25th, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and January 26th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The National Honor Society is having a book drive from January 13th to January 17th, and the Forensics team has an invitational meet on January 21st, and Fire and Ice is on February 1st.
Awesome. Sounds like things are busy as usual, Lincoln. Thank you for your report. Before we get to the minutes, I'd just like to make an announcement. On behalf of the board, I want to take just a moment to extend our deepest gratitude to Kathy Stebbins-Hintz for the 35 years of service to the Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools, both as a teacher and in the administrative ranks. You have contributed a great deal to this organization, and we want you to know how much we appreciate that. When you retire at the end of January, we'll miss seeing you at board and committee meetings, but we also wish you the very best in retirement. Thank you, Kathy. Gotta keep Howie busy now.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move on to the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of December 9th, 2019, the special Board of Education meeting open and closed of December 9th, 2019, and the special Board of Education meeting closed of December 19th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of December 9th, the special Board of Education meeting open and closed session of December 9th, and the special Board of Education meeting closed session minutes of December 19th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those minutes are approved. We'll move on to comments from citizens and delegations. Do we have anything, Lee?
None.
Okay. Move on to committee reports. We'll start with educational services. Mary.
Okay, thanks, John. Ed Services held its regular meeting on Monday, January 6th. There were 2 consent agenda items. Does anyone need either one of these held out? All right, then the committee recommends, and I move to approve the following, and both of these recommendations have to do with open enrollment space determination limits for the 2020-21 school year. Danny Scott, our Director of Pupil Services, explained how administration determined open enrollment spaces for both special education and regular education during the 2020-21 school year. For the 2021 school year, the district has determined there are 10 early childhood and 18 middle school speech and language spaces available to open enrolled students. There is no limitation on regular education spaces. So I would move to approve ES1, not designating any space limitations for regular education open enrollment students for the 2021 school year, and ES2 to approve designating space available in special education programming as indicated in the projected space available column set out in attachment A of the agenda for this meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ES1 and ES2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those are approved.
All right, and then we had 4 updates. The first one was Academic and Career Plan Committee Report. Kathy Stebbins-Hintz reviewed that the ACP committee was formed in the 2015-16 as mandated by the Department of Public Instruction. She introduced members of the ACP committee who shared how students are creating ACP plans. At the middle school, ACP is implemented through exploratory classes at all grade levels, Inventories are taken by students, a bus tour is taken to local businesses, career goals are created and revised, and parent-student conferences regarding ACP planning and options take place in grades 6 through 8. At Lincoln High School, there is a college career and volunteer center available to students with access to a vast amount of information. Parents are encouraged to participate in several different ways, and a parent guide will be available in the fall of 2020. Then the second one was Behavioral Mental Wellness Committee report. And Kathy, Danny Scott, and Jim Wilhorn, who's the Assistant Director of Curriculum, shared information regarding work the committees have been doing since it was formed in 2016-17. There are 34 members on the committee. A pyramid graphic regarding continuum of services was shared and explained. There are several work groups within the committee. The accomplishments and goals of each committee were explained. The third one was the 3-0 Day program. And Kathy stated that 3-0 Day has been in existence for over 40 years. The group provides an annual conference to secondary students that bring in experts on teen drug use, suicide prevention, mental and physical wellness, relationships that are destructive, and premature sexual activity. The conference has traditionally been held at the Meade Inn and Conference Center. However, due to rising expenses and the desire to bring in a nationally recognized keynote speaker, the committee is exploring the possibility of moving the 2020-21 3-0 Day conference to East Junior High. And our last one was on student travel. Approximately 5 WRPS choir students will have the opportunity to attend the Dorian Vocal Festival at Luther College in Decorah, Iowa, January 12th and 13th, 2020. And with that, I make a motion to accept the minutes of the Educational Services Committee of January 6th, 2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of the Educational Services Committee of January 6, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
John, I have one comment about the 3-0 Day program. I've been on the board there, very good work they do. I would encourage us to consider that request.
Good to have the building being used to.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mary. We can move on to business services. Katie's going to give the report because John's not here tonight. So.
Yes, okay, thank you. So Business Services Committee met on January 6th, and we had just one consent agenda item, and that is that we are looking at a proposed architectural contract from Plunkett Research Architects for a redesign to the Meade Elementary School kitchen, and it's going to include additional preparation space, a larger cooler and freezer. The total cost of $17,700 is not the cost of all of the actual work, it's the cost of the contract, okay? Because there was some confusion about that. So I would make a motion to approve this contract with Plunkett Research Architects to redesign Meade Elementary School kitchen at a total cost of $17,700.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the architectural contract for Plunkett Research Architects for a redesign of the Meade Elementary School kitchen for $17,700. Can we have roll call, please, Mike?
Mrs. Heck?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayo?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And then we had a couple of updates. We had some purchases. We had Assistant Technologies technology software, and that's for the operation of our surveillance cameras, and the Soundwork systems, and that's for technology equipment in the Performing Arts Center. So we just hit with that. I would make a motion to approve the regular committee meeting minutes of January 6th, 2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the committee meeting minutes of the Business Service Committee of January 6, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those minutes are approved. Thank you, Katie. Move on to Personnel Services. Sandy?
Personnel Services met last Monday, January 6th, and from that meeting, we had no public comment. And from that meeting, we have 7 consent agenda items, and they are as follows. Number 1, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 5 support staff appointments. And then the rest of these are policy reviews. 2, the committee recommends and I move to approve Board Policy 330 curriculum development for second reading. We've already gone over these once. 3, the committee recommends and I move to approve Board Policy 331 curriculum maps for second reading. 4, the committee recommends and I move to approve Board Policy 334 curriculum evaluation for second reading. 5, the committee recommends and I move to approve Board Policy 442.1 student board representatives for second reading. 6, the committee recommends and I move to approve Board Policy 731.2 use of electronic surveillance technology in public areas of school buildings and property for second reading. And 7th, the committee recommends and I move to approve a $2,500 stipend for the Title VI program supervisor for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve PS1 through PS7. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Then we had an update and reports, and we looked at class sizes and sections, and the only thing we're looking at right now is at Washington, 4th grade. There's possibility of making it a 3rd section because the numbers are so high. Otherwise, the rest of them look really good. And then Brian Oswald, our Director of Human Resources, shared with us that the occupational therapist caseloads are very high. A typical caseload is 35 to 40, and our therapists are like at 73, 104, and 95. So they're really overworked. So what we're looking at is to increasing those positions by 1.2. So that's what, any other questions on that? Okay. With that, I move that the minutes of the January 6th committee meeting be approved as printed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Personnel Services Committee meeting minutes of January 6, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those minutes are approved. Thank you, Sandy. Move on to agenda referrals, information requests. They have anything as well? Okay, we move on to the legislative agenda. What's new, Troy?
So this month, we have just a couple bills to look at before various committees of the legislature. And then I want to end by looking at some of the breakout sessions that the Education Convention is going to offer that are of interest to this report. So I want to start with the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Energy. They met last week, and of interest to education policy, the committee postponed a vote on Senate Bill 423. This Senate bill aims to address lead contamination in drinking water in schools. Senator Cowles, Rob Cowles of the Green Bay area, he is the author of the bill and is the chair of the committee. And he indicated he is still working at trying to build support for the bill, and he may try to bring back the bill for a vote at a later date. Earlier, he proposed Senate Substitute Amendment 1, which, among other things, would change the requirement in the original bill that schools test drinking water sources for lead at least once every 3 years to once require testing once every 5 years. In addition, this amendment would provide for a one-time exception to school district revenue limits as a substitute for the requirement in the original bill that calls for districts to obtain referendum approval for spending on construction, repairs, or other measures. Speculation within the Capitol is that the property tax impact of allowing an exemption has caused some senators to reconsider their support for this change. So that is Senate Bill 423. The next one is a draft bill has been circulated for legislative support that would allow virtual charter school students who reside in a district to participate in district athletics and other extracurricular activities. This bill would require the WIAA to mandate school districts that they allow virtual charter school students who reside in the district to participate in district athletics and other extracurricular activities. This bill is being authored by Senator Jerry Petrowski of the Marathon area and Representative Scott Allen of Waukesha. And this is similar to a 2015 requirement that requires allowing resident homeschooled pupils to participate in school district athletics and activities. And WASB opposes this bill based on their member-approved resolutions 3.97 and 3.98. Each one of those state 3.97, access to co-curricular activities. WASB opposes legislative efforts to mandate that districts provide students residing in the district who are not enrolled access to district co-curricular activities. And 3.98, WASB supports autonomy of WIAA to govern itself and determine regulations. So they have come out in support of that bill, currently looking for support in the legislature. The last bill to look at, the Speaker's Task Force on Water Quality recently put out their bipartisan recommendations for improving surface water and groundwater. And it's a large report, 38 pages, but of interest to school leaders, the report expresses support for a number of pieces of already introduced legislation, including Senate Bill 423, which I mentioned, authored by Robert Cowles, which aims to address the contamination in the water. And then the second one that the task force brought forth was Senate Bill 424, which under the substitute amendment, public schools operating daycare centers approved by their school boards would be subject to testing and remediation requirements for schools rather than those established for private daycare centers under a separate bill. And the task force report was the product of a year-long study that included 14 public hearings at various locations around the state. So they recently brought out their findings. So that's it for bills. Lastly, I just want to mention a couple of the breakout sessions at the Education Convention next week. 2 breakout sessions pertain to legislative business. The School Administrators Alliance is hosting a session regarding legislative review Wednesday at 1:30, and then WASB is doing their session on legislative review Friday morning at 9:15. So those are the 2 sessions of interest. I'm hoping to attend both of them, and hopefully for the February report, they'll bring forth some insight. So.
Excellent, thanks for the report. Thanks for taking up and being in Milwaukee, so. We can move on to the bills.
Okay, I would make a motion that the receipts be noted and the bills be paid as printed.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second that the receipts be noted and bills paid as printed. We have roll call, please, Marie.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayo?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Thank you, Marie. We can move on to new business. The first item, possible action on employee appointments, resignations, and retirement requests.
Yep, we have a professional staff appointment that'll be starting next year. Aitha Juarez will be a school psych joining us next year. And we have Catherine Campbell retiring from Meade from her kindergarten position.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the professional staff appointment of Aitha Juarez, effective at the beginning of the 2020-21 school year.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the professional staff appointment of Aida Juarez, effective at the beginning of the 2020-2021 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I'd make a motion to approve the professional staff early retirement request of Catherine Campbell, effective June 8th, 2020.
Reluctantly second.
Okay, we have a motion and a reluctant second to approve the professional staff early retirement request of Catherine Campbell, effective July 8th, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We can move on to discussion and possible action on 2020 Wisconsin Association of School Boards resolutions.
So in John's absence, I thought I could steer the discussion, if any, regarding the WASB resolutions that are out this year. I've provided some detail in your board update. You also have copies of those. I don't think there's anything that is significantly remarkable with respect to, bipolar or very diverse opinions on the topics. They seem fairly, on one kind of plane with regard to circumstances that either A, we have been engaged in as an organization, or B, are supportive of recommendations coming out of the Blue Ribbon Commission from, going on now a couple years ago or 18 months ago, give or take. And there's very few of them. That's something that's different this year. I think there's 18. And in the past, there's usually some mid-20s to low 30s potentially. So, but hopefully the delegate assembly, for John's sake, is something that lasts for 2 or 3 hours rather than 3 to 5 hours. So we'll see how things go. But if there's any questions or commentary on any of the resolutions, I'm happy to entertain them. Otherwise, there was a brief, communication in your board update.
I would move to approve having John Benbow use his own discretion and vote his conscience on behalf of the board when attending the delegate assembly at the state convention.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve having John Bembo use his own discretion and vote his conscience on behalf of the Board of Education when attending the WASB Delegate Assembly at the upcoming State Education Convention. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I guess that's it for tonight. It's been a short meeting. Everybody must want to get out of here. The only thing on the calendar, next Monday, there's a Student Wellness Committee meeting at 4:15, and then the State Education Convention is from the 21st to the 24th. So with that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.